Well, our second fundamental skill today is one that I don't think exists in any other game. So we're definitely going to be relying on our experts. Let's watch the video and then we'll hand back over.
Welcome to NAB AFL Auskick. Here are some tips on handballing. There are 4 steps required to perform a handball. Make a pancake, feet apart, make a fist, and scoop the ice cream. Hold out the hand that you don't draw and write with flat, like a pancake. Rest the ball on top, like it's a scoop of ice cream on the pancake. Stand with your feet staggered, keeping the same foot forward as the pancake hand. With your other hand, your writing hand, make a fist, keeping your thumb on the outside of the fist, not the inside. Hit the ball as if you're scooping the ice cream off the pancake into a cone. Catch your fist in the pancake hand once the ball has been launched. And that's how you handball. So remember, the 4 steps are 1. Make a pancake. 2. Feet apart. 3. Make a fist. 4. Scoop the ice cream. Good luck!
It's a great technique and a great video. Sam, how about we start with you first on this one? What are your tips and pearls of wisdom?
Well, I really love the analogy, things that really resonates with the kids a lot and helps them to kind of understand, because it's such a unique skill to footy. And so I'm a big believer in being able to use that to try and help them understand kind of what the different parts of the body you're wanting to do. I guess kind of a couple of things that kind of probably start just with this, more so with some of the challenges that you might see or you might get when coaching the handball. A couple of things that, because it is like you're kind of using your fist to hit the ball out. What you'll find is they'll really try and punch it. Like they'll actually think they've got to absolutely smash the thing to get it, the ball to get it to where they want. And so what they'll use is all sort of one arm and one fist, which actually, if you watch the best handball and stuff, it's almost like a full body pass. It's just like passing the ball in any other game. And so you're using a lot more of your hips and your shoulders and moving through the ball. So what you'll see is that kids, I think the technical term for it is reduce the degrees of freedom. So they stiffen up a little bit to make the skill a bit easier. So they might have really straight arms rather than a bent elbow and those sort of things. So we're wanting to try and make them a little bit more loose with it, and that allows you to get a little bit more power into the handball. If you watch the best ones, a lot of the ones, you can hardly even hear them hit the ball as they handball it, because all the momentum's coming through sort of their chest and their torso as they're kind of twisting with it. And so that's something just to keep an eye out for. And another, you see the same thing with what they call the pancake. So your hand that's holding the ball. What will happen is a lot of people will pull that hand away, and then you lose all of the momentum that you can generate through your body. So they'll pull it away, and now the ball's just floating in air, and you've got to try and make contact with it, so you don't get any of the momentum that you generate from your body. So there's something to look out for, and an easy thing to do for the kids is actually, hey, you need to hit it out of your hand. So you use the scoop it out and actually finish with your hand on your pancake. That's something that can help, because what then happens is they can use all that momentum to generate the ball going through. And so we see that a lot, because that's where kids will get a sore hand as well, because they're actually just punching the ball rather than kind of trying to pass it and use their body. And that's kind of one of the biggest challenges that I see when teaching a handball, and something that you can kind of just keep an eye out, and then just try a few little different things with the kids to try and get them to hit the ball out of the hand and use some of the other, how do they get a bit more power? So you might say, hey, we want you to handle it as far as you can, get more power, move into it. That can kind of help them as a bit of a cue.
Great. Steph?
Yeah, Sam's done a very good job at summarising it there. To the analogy, I use a similar one, and I mean, it's always good to have different ones up your sleeve, but I've often used, you've got the bread. So you've got your bread as your non-dominant hand. You've got the hot dog or the sausage. right? Might resonate more, not sure. And then you've got the sauce, and what you're doing obviously is you are got the bread, the hot dog, and then you're squirting the sauce in. Obviously very mindful of the thumb being on the outside, and will often question the students as to why we do that, and make sure that they know that, you know, they're obviously putting themselves at risk of breaking their thumb and hurting themselves. So that analogy I found worked really well as the pancake one, but for some reason bread and hot dogs, they like to have a bit of a giggle with that. Again, you notice with this clip in particular, there was no talk of how the ball floats through the air. So obviously we know we want it to spin backwards and all those sorts of things. And at this level, that's not paramount. However, if you want to start to introduce that, I find it's the angle of the hand, of the base hand, the supporting hand is really important, and angling it up slightly so that the ball's on a slight angle. I'm not a mathematician, so I'm not going to go into what degrees, but we're angling it up at about 30 odd degrees. And a good little activity to sort of help them catch their hand is to handball to yourself first. And that can be as simple as just handballing it up and catching it again, ball handling, to then progress into a bit of a challenge where instead of, you know, punching, Sam was saying they like to punch it, see how high they can do it and how many claps they can get in before they catch the ball. And that motion itself should start to get the ball sort of spinning the way that it should. Because I find that a lot of the time, like Sam said, students will go to handball, pull their hand away, and then it's just you're reaching for it rather than obviously sliding it in to catch your fist. And then it sort of comes to that technique and how the ball should move. But it's a fun little fundamental, because you can play all sorts of games with it. You know, obviously tag ball, you can do a little bit of end ball, we can do all those sorts of things. You can try and shoot into goals, you know, whether it's soccer goals, footy goals, to the backboard, if you're inside, to the wall with targets. So yeah, a lot of fun, the handballing.
Yeah, certainly one of the things I've observed is kids throwing the ball up and trying to punch, and there's a lot in these techniques that tries to minimize that, but it's always there, isn't it? That throw punch.
It is just important to sort of reiterate that the guiding hand, and we've said it before, does a lot of the work. If you watch some of the best handballers in the game, Taylor Adams, Paddy Cripps, you know, they use that guiding hand to generate force. So really making an emphasis on you must slide your fist into that guiding hand, into that pancake, into that bread, and keep it there for as long as possible.
Yeah. And I know that when kids start playing AFL, when they're just beginning to learn, that they often do a panic throw rather than a handball. So do you try and encourage that any time you've got the AFL football in your hand, that you're only hand passing and not throwing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a fundamental skill of the game. So you try and encourage it. I mean, I'm sort of not one to discourage the kids too much. Like if that's what they end up doing, that's what they end up doing. But you're certainly trying to encourage them to use the handball as much as they can. And, you know, if you're playing a little game and it happens sometimes, kid gets a bit, throws it, you can say, hey, have a handball. Remember, we handball it, and you can kind of just, but keep the game going with it. So you sort of bring it back and say, you know, instead of giving it, especially early on, I'm not going to penalise you for it. It's just now, but I need you to handball it because that's how we play. And that can just sort of reiterate it. And Steph was talking about, like, even, you know, like handballing to yourself, but just, again, it comes back to a lot of that fundamental ball skill work, you know, just in your hands. Like if you watch, and I'm sure like Steph would be the same, when the picture that she's got up probably on media day, she's got the ball in hand and she'll probably just be standing there handballing to herself and mucking around and just moving it around. And you'll see a lot of players, they'll just kind of be spinning the ball around in their hand with a handball. And so just giving them opportunity to kind of explore what happens if I hit it like this, where does it go if I hit it like this? And so I'm big on that allowing exploration, and sometimes trying to, and you know, hey, how creative ways you can handball it. Can you handball it over your head? Can you handball it through your legs? Can you handball it behind your back? Can you handball it high? Can you handball it low? The best handballers just kind of get the ball where they need it to get to. And I know we're talking about little kids now, but you can set them up for that exploration by giving them lots of cool little tricks to try and handball in different ways. And even when they're learning and just learning, it's a really cool way to do that. And then that's kind of at one end when you're trying to really challenge them and explore. And then if you need to bring it all the way back, again, I know in our Auskick we handball just a round ball as well. That's fine, or some of those sort of slightly squishy ones, or some of the plastic ones which kind of ping off a little bit, just to get them understanding that, because sometimes that is a little bit easier just to have a round ball in your hand-to-hand ball. And it just goes back to, again, a lot of the points we've made on a lot of these skills is that you can just dial up or dial down the challenge depending on where the kids are at. And so having a whole lot of different balls, whether the footballs, basketball, tennis balls in your pack, allows you to be able to do that and change it up for the kids.